Hey y'all, Kristen here. I'm here to tell you about my recent marriage. I'm so excited to tell you about this. At 69 years old, I have become a bride. And well, I met Neil 5 years ago, almost to the day, like 10 days difference from when we first met. I met him on Match.com and we had our first date at a coffee shop on May 13th, 5 years ago. And we've been together for quite a long time. We've been through some really rough things. He was in an auto accident 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and that was a really brutal time. And there have been some other things, really stressful life events that we've weathered the storm together. And so we were rocking along and everything was great. And when I met him, he told me that he wouldn't be getting married again, that he had been married before, he was divorced, and he just didn't want anything to do with marriage. And I could accept that. Marriage, in some ways, I think, is really about creating a family together. And he has children. I have a daughter. I have three grandchildren. He has two grandchildren and three great grandchildren. So we have plenty of family. And it just didn't seem like marriage was something that we would need. And I accepted that and we've never talked about it again. And then a couple weeks ago, he said to me, "You should marry me." Well, this wasn't exactly a romantic proposal, but I thought, well, okay. And I basically thought what he was saying is we should have a piece of paper that says we're married. And I was agreeable with that. There's benefits to having a legal documentation of this relationship. And so I was like, fine, we'll get a license. We'll figure out how to have somebody sign it and file it and go on down the road. Well, it came out as event. Well, it turned out that his friend who's a minister wasn't able to. Um, he was out of town, so we had an appointment to see him on May the 24th. And I thought this was a drop by his office and he would sign our paperwork kind of thing. Well, come to find out that Neil had something else in mind, and I kind of messed it up because I just kept talking about when we get the piece of paper signed, and he finally said, "Well, I had more in mind than that, and um, I don't want you to ask me any more questions about it. I just want you to know that it's more than getting a piece of paper signed to me." Well, okay, so then then I began to get on board more. It was like, we're getting married. We're not just getting a piece of paper, we're actually getting married. Well, then I told my daughter about it and she wanted to come. And I thought, well, that would be really nice for her to be there, but he had this plan and I didn't want to mess up the plan. So it happened that we were in a discussion because I wanted to know what to wear. You're getting married, you want to know what to wear. And it came out, I don't know, he asked me some questions about why I was asking him all that. And I said, well, my daughter would really like to be there. And I said, it's okay if she's not, but she would really like to be there. And he said, well, okay, that's fine. You invite her, I'll invite my daughter. So anyway, I'm making this into a long story. We had a wedding, and if you saw the newsletter on Monday, I put a photograph from the wedding on the newsletter so that you could see the sealed the deal with a kiss. So now I'm a married woman, and another interesting thing happened to me. It was this question about, well, I have the opportunity to take his name, and I have a name that I've published several books under. I have this newsletter, and I thought, well, I'll take his name for my personal life and leave my name for my professional life. And then the more that I got into living with that idea, the more I was just feeling like that is another life. Kristen Van Tilburg had a different life, and Kristen Milan is going to have a new life, and I would like my professional life to change as well as my personal life. So I'm going to change my name and I'm going to change my identity because there's nothing that's really more of an indication of your identity than what you call yourself, right? So, I mean, this is gets to be kind of a complicated thing, and even in Substack, I'm not quite sure how this is going to work because you all know me by Kristen Van Tilburg, and I'm going to be emailing you in the future as Kristen Milan. And so if that causes confusion, I apologize. Hopefully, those of you who've seen my post on Monday and this video won't have any confusion. You'll know that I got married and changed my name, and then that'll be all that is to that. But now it's even more than that. Because honestly, friends, the newsletter is not growing the way that I hoped that it would. To me, You Think Secrets is a very intriguing and interesting name, but it doesn't seem to be landing in Substack that way. And it's not attracting the women that I want to be serving with my content. And so now I'm living in the question of what should I name this newsletter? And for sure, if you have any thoughts or comments, I hope that you will click the comment button and share those things with me because this is an opportunity for you to help me navigate this identity change, not only in me personally, but in the way that I professionally present this work. But one of the things that has come clear from some feedback that I got is that the research, which I have felt was my way of letting you know that I'm not just spouting off my ideas, but my experience of what I've been through since my mother died last year and this exploration of does it have to be for me the way that it was for her? Research is an important part of that, but the delight that I've found in studying the research is that these ideas that I have about how to engage the body's healing and repair mechanisms, which I call youthing. I mean, I did make up the word, so okay, it's not seeming to catch on. I don't know why it isn't, because we have these thoughts about aging, and everybody knows that the more trips that you make around the sun, the older you get, and the older you get, the older you look. And there's no denying that trips around the sun have an impact on the body. There's no denying that. I never meant to deny that, but I found out that there's so much more that is causing the inflammation in our bodies and reasons that we would age physically faster than we need to. And that if we consciously make this shift into becoming a we live in our bodies in a way that is more facilitates the body's heal and rest and repair and rejuvenate mechanisms, the less that aging is going to show. And how much, I don't think anybody can say. I mean, as far as I know, this is kind of a new idea. It's definitely a new idea to me, and I've only been working on this for 10 months. So I don't expect to look like I'm 20. I don't think that I'll ever look like I'm 20. But what is really resonating with me is the fact that I feel more alive than I did 10 months ago, for sure. And this thing about my sweetheart that I was perfectly comfortable not being married to, deciding that he wanted to be married to me. I mean, where did this come from? And is it he doesn't say to me, well, I wanted to marry you because you're more radically radiant. You're more radiant than you've been. And I'm in love with that. He's not saying that to me, so I can't really attribute the two. But something changed for him. And even though I've asked him to tell me what that was, he says he doesn't know how to explain it. So what am I to do? Maybe he'll figure it out after we've been quote unquote married for a while. Because as much as you want to say, well, marriage, after you've been together with somebody for 5 years, you want to say, well, marriage isn't going to make a difference. It's just a piece of paper. But in my opinion, it does make a difference. Maybe for some people it doesn't, but I think it's changed. Something changed in him for him to ask me to marry him. Something changed in me by marrying him, by him saying publicly to the world, this is my woman, and me saying publicly to the world, this is my man. It changed something. And to me, it's sweeter and it's more alive and it's more, I don't know, it changed me, but in a good way. And I hope that this identity that I'm changing my work to will be more pleasing to you, that it will cause you to say, wow, this lady's doing something interesting, and telling your friends about this newsletter and inviting them to subscribe and talking about the work and and having the work grow. I think that this is something powerful and potent that's happening in your world and in my world. And I think that there are more women that would want to know what we're up to here. So I'm hoping that you'll take that extra step to share the email, forward it to someone, and tell them, you might be interested. Comment. And if you go on Substack, I invite you to go on Substack and comment and share. And let's just take this goodness, because to me this is goodness, friends. I saw what happened to my mother, and that was not goodness. The last year of her life was very difficult, honestly. And I don't want whatever the last year of my life is, whether it's this year or 30 years from now. If I live as long as my mother, I'll be living 30 more years. But there will be a last year of my life. And whatever that is, I don't want it to be a steady decline of indignity and biological failures that just break my spirit. That's what happened to my mother, friends. Her experience of the last year of her life destroyed her will to keep living. And I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for you. And I do think that we can live in a way that maybe our last year doesn't have to be like that. Diane Keaton died, I believe it was October 11th of last year, the 2025. And I was doing a little bit of research about that, and I found out some interesting things that on September the 24th, she went to her doctor and was diagnosed with pneumonia. On October 9th, she went back to her doctor, so apparently she was not getting better. And I don't know that for sure. Maybe she just went because he told her to come back, or medicine check or something. I don't know. But I do know that it was reported in a reputable place that on October 9th she saw her doctor again, and then on October 11th she died. And her friends didn't even know that her health was failing. Well, maybe some did, but again, it wasn't public knowledge that Diane Keaton is sick. And then all of a sudden, October 11th, her family shared that she had died. And and that to me, not knowing any of the personal details, that to me is a much better way to go, is on prior to the end of September, she was living her life. And then within a month, she was gone. I hope that she didn't suffer the indignities that my mother did. I hope that she was living fully, and then she got pneumonia and her system surrendered to it, and it was her uh, off ramp, so to speak. I hope that it was peaceful, and I hope that everything was beautiful. I don't think that death has to be, I mean, to me, it's an ending of this and it's a beginning of that. And what I think about that, maybe nobody's too interested, but I hope that you have your ideas about what it is, and I hope that they can be empowering ideas about tying up this experience and opening up to a new experience. So that's what I wish for you, and that's what I'm trying to communicate with this work. And I hope that you continue to love it and support it. And there's more from me. I've been doing a lot of work on myself lately that I want to be sharing with you. I have a book in process. I have this coming home course that I've talked to you about, and all the goodness is coming your way soon. So I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.